Good morning. This is Norma Cowie. This is the first Wednesday of February, and so we do have a tarot card reading that's going to be happening, but it's also Groundhog Day. So I'm hoping wherever the groundhog, I think it's Pennsylvania, that comes out and checks the weather. I believe it's a little cloudy here. So it's like we will definitely have, being in the far north, we will be definitely having more winter. But excuse me here, just a little cough as I get my share screen up of my reading. I really like to see what this reading is. This is the first month that I've been doing this, where the symbology is quite different on the whole. If you follow this, what you're going to find, I should say, if you know tarot, you'll be able to sort of follow me a little easier, but the Ace of Wands always represents a new idea coming and a new idea taking place. But the Sun here shows leaving behind the old and stepping forward. And even this Knight of Pentacles, which is, to me, an attitude symbol, it's, even though it's stationary, it's looking at a new land, is looking at what needs to be done, needs to be what's taking place. So what I would say between, let's say now, which is the first, second, and there, we're looking up towards the 9th, 8th and 9th, where all sorts of changes are taking place. And then there's a consolidation time as you consolidate, because when you make changes, which is what's being depicted, you then have to consolidate. You have to kind of get the lay of the land as to which way we're going from there and how are we going. And it even shows that with this Four of Cups here. So, but you'll notice the arms and the legs are a little folded, but they're not really wanting. There's going to be some resistance to the changes that are taking place. You know, not everybody is going to maybe be open to some of the changes that are going to be happening and taking place in this early part of the month. But as we step into, I want to go 17th, 18th of the month, it's like then we get to leave behind a lot of the old and move forward. Again, we're moving forward. It's not like we're there yet. It's all in transition. Most of these symbols talk about transition, dealing with, coming together with the transitions, applying the transitions. And this Eight of Cups here is where we let go of the past and we move forward into kind of the unknown, because the future isn't really quite there. But as we move into around the 20th, 23rd, this is all about communication and healing. This is when the healing begins to take place, the understanding, they're really coming into terms of understanding what is. And I really like the justice symbol that sits here, as though, because this to me is always about commitment, but also justice. If we look at the word justice, justice is going to be brought forward. Justice of those things that have been perpetrated or taken advantage of. All of those aspects are going to come forward out here, especially as we get into the, I think, 26th, 27th, even 28th. Some of it's going to be very surprising, having to deal with, like the Page of Cups sitting here, having to deal with this, having to deal with the surprises, the unexpectedness. But what I loved when I saw this was that the end of the month, we're coming to the world where everything comes into balance. And this balance is so important as with the knowledge is all here, everything is there. We have it all in balance and have awareness. And when I first looked at this, I don't read that, like put them together just as I put here. I just look at the symbology. I was thrilled to see these first two symbols, the Ace of Wands, the Sun, right there in the beginning, to end up on the world. This is a momentous month of change, a month of letting go, a month of reconsolidation, a month of moving forward in a direction that you want to go in. And to end up on the world, well, with the world is always like stepping out into the next realm, but that'll be as we go into March, and I'm looking forward to see what happens this month. I really am now. Actually, the last few months I've been, I'm not seeing the changes. I'm just seeing more and more of the same, and a little bit of struggle here and there. But this month, to me, everything comes open. Everything gets into I was going to say exposed, goes into a new channel, a new awareness, a new growth. And for those of you that are aware of what's going on in the outside world there, and not my little apartment, but it's like, yes, there changes are happening all over the world. People are beginning, the governments are beginning to stop mandates and things like that. So there is this change there. And it's like, wow, it is happening. It's just not, happening. It's happening. It's happening in the world. And therefore, as it happens in the world, it can happen in your life. It can begin to happen in your life. So I'm with a smile on my face. I'm just going to stop the share here, and I'm going to just keep on talking to you. You see, I've been teaching a psychic development class the last couple of weekends, and we finish up this Saturday. I'm teaching it over three Saturdays. And one of the things I found, I was telling one of the participants, that I really thought for her would be a good idea to really learn the tarot for a simple reason. One is this: when you work with the tarot, as I did, or with my method, I'll put it that way, because I do it's not just like any old book that you pick up. I am very different in my perception based on the teacher that I originally had. And what it does two things. One is that it gives you a philosophy and an awareness of how we as humans interact with our world. Yes, this was created towards the end of the 1800s. It was actually published, the Rider Deck was originally published in 1910. But the philosophy, the spiritual philosophy, the thinking, feeling, responding, all those things in life are there. Our attitudes to life, how we grow, how we don't grow, etc. It's amazing when you get in that. So on one hand, it gives you the philosophy. On the other hand, it starts developing the psychic muscle, because the way I teach it is you read for yourself, preferably in the beginning every day, and begin to get an idea of how you respond to the world, number one. And number two, beginning to see how you can read these to begin to enhance that psychic part of you. So what I call the psychic muscle, to allow it to come in further and breathe further and bring forward. The philosophy is important. How your philosophy is important. How you be in the sense of yourself is important. Without the knowledge that I had gained from the tarot. Now, that's not the only thing I studied in my life. I studied, I'm a past life regressionist. I did a lot of other study of other modalities, coaching courses, etc., in order to learn a lot of different things. But my main point of life has always been how to have the philosophy that works, how to make it work, how to have it come forward in the direction that you want. Am I perfect? No, because I'm still me with all my foibles and some elements. But I tell you, from the growth of when I first started, I can look back on my life, and I certainly have gained a lot of knowledge. And it all began really with learning how to read tarot in a whole different way. Learning how to understand how the symbology links together, how to link and make a story. In a way, I see myself when I'm doing readings as a storyteller. The feedback tells me I'm a pretty good storyteller. I can tell you what's going to happen. But what I also know, it's not about what the future is having. It's about, is that what you want? And when situations come up, how do you handle them? How do you respond to what's going on in your world? Because mostly we are reacting to things that are happening, not because we created them, but because they're happening to us because of the outside. I became aware of that a few years ago, because I sat down one day and said, they say, they being a lot of the people I listen to, that we create our own reality, but how much have we really created? And what I discovered was that we create most of it as a reaction to what is already happening and what's taking place. And so it's important to have this knowledge of awareness, to have it's a tool. Like most people have a box or something which has a hammer and a screwdriver. And even I do. I have my little bag that I carry around from place to place when I've moved, because you never know when you're going to need a hammer or you're going to need a screwdriver. I've got lots of screwdrivers for some reason. I have no idea why I've collected so many. I've got crescent wrenches. I've got quite a few things. This, the tarot, 78 symbols, what we call the unbound book of life or unbound book of wisdom, because they're different. The pages, the 78 pages, as you change them, tell you a different story. They can put the symbols out one way and they'll tell you one story, and they have another story. Now, the other day I had an email from a gentleman wanting to know about my tarot videos, because I do have a set of 8 videos which teach people how to read. And he was wanting to say his main question, but a second question back to me was about reversals. And then I explained to him again in an email form, I don't teach reversals, because if you have a reversal, which is, I know a lot of books do, if a symbol comes up this upright, it's one thing. And if it comes up this way, it's another. What I found with that, because with me, I always like to explore things, was that I had to come from my head. I had to memorize what it meant upright and what it meant reverse. What I found was it took away from what the symbol was telling me, because I find the symbol tells you things. I always teach, where does your eye go? Where does the eye go? Does it go to the sun? Does it go to this little fence here? Does it go to the horse? Does it go to the flag? Or maybe it doesn't go at all. But once you have a basic understanding of what the symbology is, then it will fill in. And how does it fill in from A to B? How do we link those? And all of that is really one of the most important elements. So very often, if you're really wanting a tool that not only teaches you how to develop that psychic muscle, but also about where you are and what you perhaps need to do to change things, because that's what I love about the tarot. It's not like it's set. Futures are not set. It's because it's how you respond to most things. So therefore, it's like it's advising and will tell you, many of the symbols tell you, you need to do this, which is acceptance, letting go, rebuilding, change direction, forgive. All those things are in here. And so often they come out. And so you can begin to see what occurs and how it works and where you're going. I know I've talked on a lot of different subjects, and many of them come from these symbols. And many of them come from the direction that I've learned over the years and from doing, I don't know, thousands of readings, I guess, by now. And what I find is everyone's vibration, in a way, excuse me, we have a similarity, but it's still precious to that person. It is still, what is it they need to know? I just had a call from the client that I haven't read for a couple of years, wanting to say, well, I just thought I'd check in, see what's happening, going on, and asking a few questions. I like questions. I like to take a look. Don't ask me anything. I'll take a look, and then I want your questions, because once I've taken a look, I can see where the problem areas are, and then I can go from there. So it's about our tools that we have in life. I'm hearing the word astrology in my head. I took astrology for 3 years. My ex-husband was interested in astrology. My daughter was becoming interested in astrology. Well, she became interested in astrology later, and she was the astrologer. Both my ex-husband and daughter studied different types of astrology, which made sometimes family get-togethers very interesting. But I found it was too mental for me. I realized, that's when I really realized that I interrelated with people through feelings, and I was more of an empath and more of an intuitive. My intuitive nature really came out. And so after 3 years, I was still reading tarot, actually. I was the store's tarot reader at the time. And I was doing all these astrology classes. And it was great to know. But I found I liked relying on what my intuition was telling me. And so I never, ever became an astrologer. but the information was fun, was great. And I find people who are more intellectually bent, astrology is great for them because they love it. And so it's like all these things. I studied numerology. I have kind of abbreviated that, a lot of my study, to add to what I do. The people's birth dates I find very important for me. If I have an understanding of their birth date, I can also helps me see where they are in the pattern of their life. Life is interesting. It's fun. And boy, after this reading today that came out, I tell you, I am for the first time in a lot of months have an inner excitement because it shows change. And I know that's what we were needing. It seemed like we were going down, making it harder in the world. And I have never, ever been, as many times I've talked about, I don't like the censorship. I don't like just canceling everything. And I just don't feel that's where I've come from or what I stand for. So this has made me feel very, very excited and looking forward to what's happening. I want to thank you for listening to me talking about my tarot because it's precious to me. I want to thank you for your shares and for your likes and your comments because they are reinforcing to me. And any suggestion, you can always email me through my website, normacowie.com. And also now, besides the Sunday Thought, I have my Monday night show coming on called Mental Mind Treatments, where in a sense I take what I've also learned is how to, it's a type of prayer, but it opens and clarifies any situation. So that's happening too at 7 p.m. and that's live. And so you can type in what it is you want to know about. So I call it my YouTube world. And I thank you for being part of it. So you have a great day. Enjoy and blessings. And bye for now.